Tom Flores, the former Oakland Raiders coach, also a former NFL player. In fact, Tom and Mike Ditka are the only two people in NFL history to win a Super Bowl as a player, as an assistant coach, and a head coach. Tom Flores, welcome to Sports and Torts. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. I'm just relaxing here and enjoying myself, getting ready for the big game on Sunday.
There's a big game Sunday?
I think so. I know there's a big golf game on Sunday. Coming out of Phoenix, and I might even play golf myself. I'm not sure yet.
Well, in the Chicago area, we could even play golf. The weather's been so nice this winter.
Yeah, I know that. I've been watching that all over the place. I said, wow, this is crazy.
Okay, so speaking of Super Bowl 46, who do you like between New England and the New York Giants?
Well, I don't. I'm an AFC guy and an old AFL guy, so I always pull for the AFL, AFC. But I tell you, this one is going to be another tight game. They played a great game before. They played a great Super Bowl a few years ago, and I think it has the makings of something like that because the Giants seem to have peaked at the right time with their defense getting healthy.
Tom, David Spada, a lot's made about when Doug Williams was the first African-American to be a quarterback in the Super Bowl, but you were the first Hispanic starting quarterback in history. Was a lot made about that back then?
No, not really. A lot was made of, minorities, but they didn't make a big deal out of, my being the first minority head coach or minority quarterback. No, they just didn't. Why? I don't know, but they just chose not to, and I never made a big deal out of it because it never occurred to me about that.
Do you think in the coming years we'll see more Hispanic players in the NFL?
I think you'll see little by little. You see more Hispanic heritage. By nature, we haven't been a real a big ethnic race. The NFL is built on big people. But you're seeing more and more, as you see, you've seen the tight ends crews with the Giants, and so you're seeing more and more. So I think you'll see more now because evolution has changed the way the structure.
When you were quarterbacking the Raiders, you had some pretty good linemen there. I mean, future Hall of Famers and Gene Upshaw. You had Art Shell, Bob Boomer Brown. I mean, Ron Mix for a little while. I mean, how much did you attribute your success to that line?
Well, when I played in the '60s. When I coached, assistant coach, they were there mostly. When I was an assistant coach, Upshaw and Shell were there my first 2 years as a head coach. They helped me win my first Super Bowl as a head coach, and then after that, we went. We had different guys, Bruce Davis and Mickey Marvin and Henry Lawrence and Dave Dalby. They were mostly my line when I won my second Super Bowl. So the changing of the guard is usually a slow one when it comes to offensive linemen. But you build your team. We always felt, and you look at the teams that are winning. They build their teams with offensive linemen. That's the first thing you look at.
What was more gratifying, winning as a player or winning as a coach?
Well, that's when I won my first one as a player. I was a backup quarterback with Lenny Dawson with the Chiefs, and that was just a great thrill. But I probably my favorite and most everlasting one was my first one as a head coach when we won as a wild card in Oakland, and I thought that was just a big accomplishment because we struggled and struggled and struggled, and finally we got in, and when we got in, we peaked at the right time. So that's the time you want to peak.
Because your running backs weren't that great on that team. You didn't have like a superstar running back. From what I remember, you had like Kenny King and were Van Egan on that team.
Van Egan was on the team. Van Egan was an outstanding player, fullback, but you wouldn't put him there with the premier. He was a fullback. Nowadays, you don't even have fullbacks like that. And Kenny King, we acquired that year in a trade with Houston, and Kenny gave us some good years there. And then the following year, 2 years later, we had Marcus Allen, and. But you're right. We just put things together. We picked up Bobby Chandler from Buffalo. We picked up Burgess Owens from the Jets. And that's what made that Super Bowl so special. We had guys that had maybe 1 or 2 years left, and they gave it to us. And they put it all together, and we resurrected Jim Plunkett, and all he did was help us win 2 Super Bowls. So we had enough big players like Hendricks, Lester Hayes that knew how to win, and that was a pretty good combination in those days.
How surprising was it when John Madden resigned and all of a sudden you become elevated to filling that position as coach?
Yeah, the surprising thing about John retiring, it wasn't if you were there. I was there for 7 years with John, and I could tell that he was getting tired. And 10 years in the oven like that you are as a head coach. That's a hot box for the head coach. The pressure that's put on you, and especially the pressure that was put on him there and me later. It was it wasn't shocking, but it was kind of a little bit of a surprise. And then when I got threw my hat in the ring, and I wasn't overly surprised that Al picked me because he knew me. I mean, I'd been there with him for many years as a player, assistant coach, so he knew me pretty well.
Was there any idea that Madden would go on to become this media sensation that he's become, has a video game named for him and all this other stuff?
No, that you talk about a magical story. I mean, but John was always entertaining. You give him the mic, he was always very entertaining, and he just didn't want to fly anymore. So his shtick became that bus that he had, and then he became so good on TV, and then he became such a big name. He's like a rock star, and wherever he goes, he had that Madden Cruiser, and then he came up with the game. And his timing was perfect for what he did and what he has done.
So did he ever serve you turducken?
No, we didn't. We were working on Thanksgiving days. We never had a chance for a turkey like that. And I have no idea where that came from. Outer space, I think. Something like that.
We talked to Willie Brown a couple weeks ago, and he basically said that Al Davis was very loyal to his former players. That if you were part of the Raider family, you were part of their family for life. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I played when Al came to Oakland in 1963. I was his quarterback, and I was traded to Buffalo in '67. But I came back as an assistant in '72, and stayed with him as an assistant head coach all the way through '87, and then came back as a radio announcer and been radio announcing for 13, 14 years now. And but I never left really. In reality. He was always part of his family. He never forgot it. And if there was anything that needed to be done, he was the first guy to call. So, once a Raider in his family, always a Raider in his family.
Okay. Now, after his death, the franchise continues. Does it still continue in a similar Davis vein, or can you sense the difference in management style?
Well, the management style has to change. Al was the last of the true micromanagers. I mean, he managed everything, probably from even ordering the pencils in that organization. So there's not going to ever be another guy like him in the football world, or maybe in any sports world. I mean, so now it will change in Marcus taking command and his son Mark. And Mark Davis knows that he's not Al, so he's going to go maybe not the traditional way, but more traditionally with a general manager, football guy, and a head coach working side by side, and now a new head coach, and he overseeing the whole operation. And that's what they need. They need a football person in there running the football end of the business and having input with a head coach. You have to work side by side. That's the way most operations work now, and Reggie McKenzie certainly has been schooled in an organization, the Green Bay Packers, that knows how to win and how to put an organization like that together.
Do you take any pride in knowing that you were the Raiders head coach for 8-9 years, and besides John Madden, no one else ever lasted even close to that amount of time?
Yeah, I sure do. And one of the reasons, my rationale in all that is that John and I knew Al. I grew up in that system. I knew what to expect. I knew what was expected of me and what I could expect from the ownership, and that which was Al Davis. And John did as well. The other guys that came from the outside, with the exception of Art Shell, did not know, and they weren't willing. Obviously, weren't willing to accept that kind of partnership. Al was involved in everything. He was a football guy. He was night and day. Every day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, football and that team. And if you weren't on the same page, you were not going to get along with them. Now,
during your time with the Chiefs, did you take away anything from having Hank Stram as your coach?
Oh, absolutely. And I think as I always tell people this, the young coaches starting out or young players, I said, you're going to, if you play a long time, coach a long time, you're going to play and coach for a variety of different players, coaches. That's just the way it is. Learn from your peers and take away the things that you like, but also remember the things that you don't like. And so that you don't do those things if you ever have the chance to run your own team. Hank Stram, I really liked Hank. He was an OAFL guy, very organized, very classy. Everything was very well organized. Practices were organized, and he brought a certain style to the game that was enjoyable to watch and to be around.
Were his toupees well organized as well?
Yeah, well, they got a little carried away sometimes. He would wear a hat once in a while, but he had some pretty good ones. He had a variety of toupees that they're pretty stylish.
You know what's funny is with the Super Bowl, it's basically changed from what it started till now. Now you got Madonna doing the halftime show. Your first Super Bowl with the Chiefs, the halftime show was Carol Channing. I just saw that. I was laughing.
Well, the first Super Bowl ever, the Super Bowl one, the Chiefs and the Packers, I think they had a high school band or something.
Right.
Something. And so, yeah, it's come a long way with Madonna and the mishap with Janet Jackson, was it, or whatever?
Right.
The so-called, the alleged mishap.
Right.
So, I mean, sometimes you wonder what is this world coming to? We got, let's not get away from the football part. The football part is still what people want. There are a lot of people that watch just to watch the commercials and the halftime show. I mean, that's the way this business has gotten.
Yeah, I can remember back in the day, you'd watch the football, the commercials come on, you go take a bathroom break or you go to the fridge or whatever it is. Nowadays, during the game, people will take those breaks and they'll look at the commercials instead. And I'm thinking, that's crazy, but that's the way the world is sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's all, a lot of showbiz involved. And when you think about football, everything that has been developed and the evolution of television and all the little gimmicks that they have come up with, they're perfect for football. I mean, there's no other sport that goes with all the replay, the slow-mo, all the stop action, all the stuff because of the dead time in between plays. It's perfect for all the gimmicks and all the gimmickry of television. Football is perfect for it. That's why football, I think, is the most popular sport on television in the country.
I can't believe you're not in the Hall of Fame. You won 2 Super Bowls, basically, as a coach. Your teams were competitive every year. You won it as a player. Do you ever think to yourself, what do they got against me?
Well, I'm very guarded in my comments on that because I don't want to self-promote, but I guess sometimes maybe that you have to self-promote and be a little outrageous and crazy sometimes to get some attention. But I think that the voting is really archaic. I think some of the people that vote are just not connected with what does it take to get in, and what is the credibility that of people that get in, and I think it's also based on more recent people, not the old timers as well. So, that's what it is. It is what it is, and I don't have any control. I wish I did, but I don't have any control with it.
Well, and then you'll see players, well after they're retired, they have a media person who makes a moving presentation, and all of a sudden the guy does well on a ballot, and then the next year and the next year and the next year, and eventually we'll get in. But it seems almost as if you need to have somebody, a spirit carrier on your behalf to help get you through that door. And that seems like sort of a goofy process.
Yeah, I agree, because I asked friends of mine that are in that room, and they say, well, how do you guys have any set pattern, any set standards for the way that the meetings are conducted? And this was a while back. I said, no, not really. You get up and start presenting your guy. So, it almost feels like whoever is the loudest and the strongest and has the most clout in that room is going to get their guy, at the head of the class. And that does not seem like a viable and a credible process to me. There's a lot of guys. There are a lot of guys that deserve to be in, and I'm not in the committee, so I'm not in the room, so it's hard for me to accept some of the things that go on behind closed doors. But like I said, it is what it is, and I can't change that process. The old timers process is a lot more simple. The way that John Madden got in, Hank Stram got in, George Allen got in, all these, Dick LeBeau got in. But you have to be out of the active football, playing for or coaching for 25 years before you qualify for that.
Now, you spoke about the TV friendliness of the NFL game. It seems almost as if today's NFL is like a video game, and the play on the field emulates the video game, the Madden 12 or whatever it is out there. What's your assessment of the offensive nowadays?
Well, I think it's become kind of a passing game. I think when you look at the rules changes have really opened up the game to more passing, more scoring, and that wasn't by accident. That was because the NFL wanted a more exciting game, and exciting games are games where a lot of scoring takes place. The old-fashioned 3 yards in a cloud of dust just don't exist anymore. The Vince Lombardi ways, it's just not the style anymore. The evolution has changed, and you look at even beyond that, the colleges have changed. The colleges are throwing the ball more now, and so because of that, you're seeing a different ball game. Because of that, the video games are more successful. All the little gimmicks that, like I said, all the little gimmicks that they have out there are prominent, and also fantasy football. Look how big fantasy football has gotten. People are. Some of them are more into fantasy football than they are the real football.
Yeah, it gets you rooting for players rather than for teams, and I never quite understood that. I have a team I root for, and I'm supposed to root for this guy on another team to score points for me.
Yeah, I know that. You say, wait a minute. And they say, wow, look at this. Wait a minute. We lost the games. Yeah, but look at all the scores. Look at all the things. I'm an old timer that said you win or you lose. That's the only thing that matters. But now in fantasy football, how my guys did. They have a lot of fun though with it.
Yeah, it's just another extension of what I think is at the core of the popularity of NFL, and that's betting, gambling, having some financial participation in the whole thing. I think if you took the betting away from the NFL, it still would be a great game, but the interest, I think, would be diminished.
Probably so. A friend of mine sent me, I don't know where he gets all this stuff, but he sent me, I must have 15 pages of things that they bet on in Vegas. I mean, it's incredible. What color the Gatorade's going to be and stuff like that. And I said, what are you talking? I never bet on a game anyway, and I don't care who's going to win the coin toss, who's going to, who's going to score the first touchdown, and all these fun things have odds, and they're all on the line in Las Vegas. You can bet on them. So I said, wow. I said, this is crazy. You spend your whole life doing this.
The only surefire bet was Al Davis wearing white pants.
That's true. White pants, white pants, white. Well, once in a while, black shoes, but white pants, white shoes, and having his pompadour haircut and all that stuff. Yeah, okay. Al was a unique guy.
Indeed. Tom Flores, thank you very much for your time. You've been a delight to chat with. Good luck.
All right, guys, enjoy the game Sunday.
We will.
Who are you guys picking? Who are you picking?
I'll go with the Giants.
I'll go with the
okay.
Giants again.
Yeah.
Shows what
Well,
we know.
I tell you, like I said, listen, they have peaked at the right time. Their defense, if there's a defense, it's interesting because they're the front four. They don't blitz a lot. So if they don't, they're going to have a lot of guys in coverage, and teams that don't blitz a lot have a better chance of covering because they can put, man up and have some help deep, as opposed to teams that are taking a chance. Because you try to blitz Brady, he'll get the ball out and hurt you. So it's an interesting concept, and they're doing a good job with it. Yeah.
All righty. Thank you again.
You bet.